Yeah, so I don't think I'm in the same room as Adam anymore, but I'm in the 2011 to 2015 prehistoric to early emergence period. I like how you guys really set all this stuff up. You got Etheria in here, and in this early day and age, right? And in this period, most of the stuff's like around like identity stuff. A lot of Namecoin, the very earliest Ethereum, and what else is over there? My favorite one in here is, of course, the Twitter eggs. I used to own a Twitter eggs. It kind of onboarded me to Namecoin towards the end of 2021. Kind of trying to first understand the technology itself. Took a little bit. There was no real there was no information on it back then. Most of the stuff was still over the counter. I think Emerald Vault had just started tokenizing it, or selling them. I just think I've been in crypto since 2016, and just the intertwinement of crypto and Twitter, to me, it's just like that's where the culture is built, right? It refuses to leave Twitter, and being able to have 277 of these that were tokenized on Namecoin, which represents it was also the most popular default picture in Twitter history, and they actually had a lot of backlash for removing the egg when they had it from 2010 to 2015. Of course, the unfortunate part, and why a lot of people disagree with it, there's a handful of reasons, right? The differing position on UTXO provenance versus the registry provenance has turned some away. The early excavator who found them had claimed large majority of them, and there'd been some community turmoil as well. But to me, it's something I want to get back into. I want to acquire another one at some point in the future, because I think it's just cool to have, whether it doesn't have a resale value now, maybe in the future it does. But that's probably my favorite one in this room.
I like this one. This is a great room, but the one most people might not pay attention to is the Stephen Vogler one, which is the text-based one. That's his nothing work. But basically, he used in a similar way that ordinals basically put their info on the blockchain. He was trying to come up with a system to do that back in 2015, and so Vogler's work with his faces, and this was his nothing version of that grouping of art of trying to how do I connect this to the blockchain. Can't be overstated how cool what he was trying to do, and actually tie in like the German legal system for creating legal provenance for it back then is very, very cool.
Right. For Stephen Vogler's work, I actually don't know too much. Don't they call it like a proto NFT, or
it would be
there's some nuance to it, right?
Oh, there's a lot of nuance. Yeah, it's definitely proto. I'm not even sure if he used the op return or how he actually locked the data onto the blockchain. He basically was trying to create something similar to ordinals, where it's like the standardization of how the information is tied to a Satoshi. And I mean, I just know this because I know a bunch of people who have these, that it's like when you want to transfer it, you gotta call up Steven so he can walk you through the transfer process. So that's where this one is. So this is for surety a proto NFT, but makes it very cool from a collector standpoint for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to head? Which room do we want to head into next, man? What's this over here?
Let's go next door. Yeah,
we'll go up here. I see
the
ninja suit.
I like how this set up for I guess HNFT Museum. How long did it take you guys to put this together, and were there any other designs for the museum that you guys worked through before landing on this?
Yeah, it took a few months, I believe. I think Brian and his team worked super hard to kind of like build this out with us. We basically sent out a form to the community, and we're like, anyone wants to have their art assets curated into the museum, like just send it to us and we'll kind of help curate it. But yeah, I think Brian and his team did a great job at Simulacra. But yeah, I believe they're still building, and there's lots of different iterations and design ideas, and I think things like custom hoodies and AR, like they're experimenting with a bunch of stuff, and I think it's a really cool experience, and I think it's only going to get better as well.
Very, very cool. I was just going to say, I think it all starts here with the Nakamoto card. It's so interesting when we had a Pepe space, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago or whatever, and learned that actually the Nakamoto card wasn't the first card that was distributed. Actually, I think it was card 2, right? Shitcoin is
Ye
2 Mount Gox or
Mount
3
Gox is 2.
Shitcoin? Okay, yes. So Shitcoin card was actually the first card that was distributed, which is very interesting. But when people are like, "Oh, which Pepe is going to be the ones that hold value?" Because there are 1,700 of them, it's almost impossible for collectors to kind of siphon or filter through that. So I think from a value standpoint, most of it's going to accrue to Nakamoto just because of awareness. So Nakamoto is always going to kind of have that special place. Um, we could always talk. I mean, there's endless stories here, right? We could talk about Ninja Suit, but Pepe's and the V1, V2 Pepe's is definitely kind of this story from a historical NFT perspective, which for onboarding new people into historic NFTs, I don't think there's any better story than the V1 version of CryptoPunks, right? Because to have it when people learn, wait a minute, CryptoPunks has an earlier version. When they learn that for the first time, it gets them to question everything. It's like, what are NFTs? Where does the value accrue? How do you know which is which and why is that important? It just brings up all these kind of cool questions that people who want to go down the historic NFT rabbit hole, starting with punks is a great place to start because it brings up questions that need answering, and there's lots of stories to be told around them.
Yeah, this room's a very valuable room. I like the Lord Keck card. It's probably one of the most valuable rare Pepes out there. It's a set of 10, I believe. It is divisible, so I think there's only a handful that actually exist. This was a Robness card, I believe. And I believe Jason Williams, who's the Bitcoin guy going parabolic, I believe purchased a full one of these for like a few $1,000,000 during the massive bull run, right? It's a play on, I don't know if you know that the whole Keck story with Pepe's is this actually started in 4chan, and that was kind of the beginning of how rare Pepe or how Pepe went alt-right or these like weird pharaohs and like Egyptian lore that pops through. There's actually I think it's called Keck or the god of Keck, which is like this frog like figure in the ancient Egyptian times that they all prayed to was Lord Keck. But I think it was called like the god Keck or something like that, and that's how Keck became part of the Pepe community, and then 4chan started using Keck, and then the rare Pepe community made Lord Keck, and you just pray to it and bow to it, and it's an iconic and very valuable card, very rare. I don't know if this is a full card or not, but if it is, then we're sitting in front of wealth right now.
Generational wealth, man.
Generational wealth. Bow to the frogs, dude. Bow to the frogs.
I mean, it's so. Yeah, let's go to the next one. It's cool.
The graphics of this are incredible.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's incredible. So what is the process to get your artwork on here? Do you guys have to custody these assets? You just integrate it? What's that process like?
Yeah, so like we open it up to the Crypto Skulls community. Like, so you have to be a holder to submit the artwork, but essentially like there was a bunch of holders who have lots of all these different historical artifacts, and yeah, like it was trying to like bring the community together, and like maybe we'll open up like as we expand the museum. I think it was just a technical limitation of like how many we can submit. And we wanted to get like exposure to all the as many historical projects as possible. But yeah, also try to like give back and to the Crypto Skulls community, and but hopefully we can expand it further and actually like build out more space for different historical projects.
Awesome. I'm standing in front of this mooncat, and I know this mooncat very well because it used to be mine actually. I traded Voldy for this for a crypto school, like right around the same time that the crypto school things, the whole movement was happening. So looks like he's storing it very well. But I was like, wow, that looks very familiar.
That's so funny, man. Dude, it's this is the great thing about the museum here is just like each one of these, you just look around and it's like, well, God, what story should I tell? Because I've got stories around literally all of these, right? And it's so awesome. Like so I'm standing in front of the Mitchell Chan piece here, right? Digital Zones. And, just if you guys don't know about the Digital Zones, Mitchell did this in 2017. So it's really, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's really the first individual artist doing a project on Ethereum. And so it's pretty special just from that perspective. But how he was then taking, the work from Yves Klein from back in like 1960 and bringing Yves' work into like the modern NFT world was just, revolutionary. And it's really been rewarded by collectors as far as pricing goes. I don't know what these were trading for, a quarter or $500,000 each.
Dude, there was the one when I sold the Mooncats at Sotheby's. That one there sold for like 1.2 million or something.
Yeah. So could have been had. Like when I did Mitchell's such a great guy, and when I did my podcast with him, there were still ones left from, I don't know, he had multiple. It was like a pricing ramp the way they sold in like blocks of 10, and the first one was like 0.01 ETH, the second one was 0.02, the third one was 0.04, whatever it was. It like went up like that to the final one of like 0.9 ETH or 1 ETH or whatever it was. And before I interviewed Mitchell for the podcast, there were still ones sitting in the dispenser for like, 0.06 ETH or some crazy number, right? And I didn't get any. It's one of these things where if you don't have enough money at the time, you're stuck in this hamster wheel of not having enough, so you don't get it, and then you miss out, and it's all this sort of thing. And so missed opportunities there with Mitchell's, but of course, after I had him on the podcast and his last one sold out in, half a second or whatever, as the bots went and got the last ones, as people realized, oh my God, what is this? This is actually incredible work. And Mitchell's fantastic. And if you saw his latest drop where, he's basically created art as an immersive experience. He calls it a video game, but really it's an immersive experience. And we all had him on a live pod with Jake and Leo. And, he's just an innovator, and he's an innovative, valuable artist and a well-known artist. And so that just makes Digital Zones really, really special on the historic NFT timeline. So
yeah,
and that's my little story of loss.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many good ones in here. I know this Blue Rock. I don't know who says it's owned by Anon. This person paid 900 ETH for. They pulled it out of a vault. I think it was like $3 million at the time. And I know this because I've used this exact blue one in slides before. So I think this is actually the all-time high sale for Rock. One of my other favorite ones, of course, is the castles, man. I just love the mimetic value of it. It's a community that hasn't died. Still going strong, right? It's a small community. I think it's like 350 owners out of 500. So that's pretty good distribution. It has a lot of OG value. I mean, Pranksy claimed one originally. You had Snowfro, who created Art Blocks, claimed one in the early days. I believe there's like a handful of other people who've owned it. I mean, now you even have DeFi Llama, who's like one of the largest leaders in the DeFi space, is actually the person who wrote the wrapper. And so, or OX NGMI, I believe, is like one of the early ones. And he works with Sovin on this, and he loves it. And so there's just like, it's just cool. Hopefully one day we could get a castle, but I think just owning one, man, it feels good.
It was funny when Snowfro, when he like acknowledged it, that was only a couple months ago. Where he was like, "Oh yeah, I think I do have those castles," and the back and forth on Twitter, that was pretty cool to find out he was a OG holder. basically minted it in very early 2019, trying to play the castle game and stuff. So, yeah, we love the castles.
Wow, a 2019 castle, that's probably more value than a lot of those. That's like the Mooncat stuff with the different years, different things. And then we're back here. Okay, so now we're in the main room. Of course, Autoglyphs is the iconic one owned by Hemba. Oh, okay. So one in here that people forget a lot, which I've been trying to get. I've been bidding actively over like 6 months trying to get a full building is at Ether City. And there's I forget the founder. I don't know. I think Adam might have interviewed him.
Sure.
He's doing active development on Solana and Ethereum, and he's put in cool upgrades. I just think it's a cool project. Very, very early metaverse project that was fully immersive. Came around the same time as Decentraland, and it's just underappreciated. Maybe because there's like no mass marketing, but I believe Leo was using it for a gallery at one point. Just super cool project.
Yep. I mean, I love Crypto Arte, which I'm in front of right now. Seb is always building stuff. And if you guys don't know Seb, I mean, Seb helps a lot of teams bring NFTs to life. And so he's just an amazing builder in the space. But the Crypto Arte idea of visualizing the growth of the Ethereum blockchain over its beginnings is a really, really cool idea. And I think anybody who is a believer in Ethereum, which I think we all are, you got to hold a Crypto Arte piece. And they're still super cheap. I mean, they're not much above their mint right now. Of course, they're always there's rarities, and I mean, Crypto Arte has kind of more rarities than almost any project in the world. I mean, they've got so many different rarity features, but of course you can just go simply with age and go for some of the first ones, but they just have some really cool vibes. I love like the yellows and the pinks. They'd come up later in the later years of Ethereum, but yeah, Crypto Arte is pretty awesome.
Gotta love it. Yeah, this room, it's interesting to think, and I think Adam and I have had a few conversations about this, is like what's going to be the next wave, right? That we look at of like historical NFTs and trying to looking at like now, since there's an explosion, you want to try to find the early tokens for new technologies. I think this is why the whole ordinals thing blew up and why a lot of people are going for the low inscription number. They're like, if this is a new standard, right? It's like, we use in historical NFTs, at least on ETH, right? You use the pre-ERC 721 and post is like a big benchmark. I think with ordinals, that's probably the same. Or even I try to look at emerging categories in the space of like AI NFTs, music NFTs, et cetera, and then try to explore there. Not necessarily always has to be the first asset, but you try to find, at least I try to find the most unique or one that's kind of cool. And that's, I think, where historical NFTs is going, is our community is just going to start migrating to these early technologies and then really exploring from there.
Yep. Awesome. Did we get every room? I think we did, didn't we? I think so.
I
think we got, well, I just got to say the Blood Orcs here. IPC.
Oh boy, what a crazy disaster that was.
Disaster. So funny. If y'all hadn't heard the story, like when that was relaunched, you could literally go and buy them. You could buy them on his website and pay with PayPal. And so it was basically still live. And so I don't know how many you bought, Jake, or if you bought
I got four. I got 4 of the cards. Yeah, that came in the mail.
He literally, so I bought, I was like, Jesus, I don't know what they were. They were like $15 each or something. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, I just did the rough math. I'm like, man, I'm going to actually get I'm going to get like 500. I don't even know how many I got. I got a lot. My wife literally is like, are you charging PayPal right now? Or something. She got like pinged and I was like, yeah, baby. I just made like, this was one I didn't fumble, right? I was like, I just got his generational wealth, baby. Don't worry. You know what I mean? It was like one of those, right? And at the end, I think I got one. I think he sent me one, like all the money. He did refund all the PayPal money, right? But I think I literally got one paper one, which I haven't scratched. I kept it up, I just kept it as like a memento, but I think at the end of the day, I got one IPC. So yeah, it's one of those messed up launches, but it is what it is. It's a cool one. I love his the idea behind the paper wallets and stuff is pretty fun, and it's a cool way to onboard people to NFTs. So I still think that has some coolness to it, and I have it sitting in my closet right now.
The funniest part of that story was when he was saying it was a 4K max, and it wasn't, and the images weren't rendering on OpenSea either. And then all of a sudden it was at 4,200. Then it was like 5,000, 6,000. So we're like, what is going on here? And then the bots started picking up on it just because the people write algorithms that trade against momentum spreads.
Yeah.
And eventually, I think Woody shut it off at like 13K or something.
Yeah, it's like 13K. That. And then it was like, God. There's an earlier contract. Don't worry about that earlier contract. And then all that was sold out. So now there's like, whatever, there's 50,000 IPCs or however many. Whatever. It is what it is. I got one sitting in my closet.
Oh, man. Complete crater. Yeah, I bought 4 of them. I think they were like $20 or something like that at the time. I know a few people who ended up ordering, like yourself, like hundreds of them, and probably a little salty.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad blood there, because we were early, right? We did get him in, but I don't know however he did his distribution, it did not get distributed to the people who were early, that's for sure. But hey, it is what it is. Still a cool idea about what he did. I love that the developer behind it built Echo the Dolphin, which is like a for us old guys, we played Echo back in the day, so it was again one of these kind of connection points. But you get what you get. We got rugged on that one.
Rugged hard. But yeah, interesting to see where we go. And thank you guys for hosting this. This is actually a lot of fun to go through the walkthrough.